Hey guys, so today we are going to be going over how to import a mesh into Unity. So just the very basics on how to get the mesh in, how to make a material and add textures to it. So if you are working in either 3ds Max or Maya, I generally prefer to use the FBX format over other formats. With FBX, you can retain data like skeletal meshes, different things like that, which you cannot support inside of other types of formats. Like OBJ will not keep rigged data. So FBX is generally one of the best ways to go. So here I have a rock model that I did. It's a big bouldery type of rock. So in order to get this over to um, Unity, you can either use the send to Unity function or I'm just going to go with export selection. So if you have a bunch of objects within your Maya scene and you just want to export the one, select it, and then do export selection. So I have a folder created called rock, and I'm going to make a new rock FBX. So if you look under your export types, the export file types, make sure you select FBX export. Do not grab the DAE FBX export. We just want the regular FBX export. So after I'm happy with that, export selection. Yeah, I want to override the file. There, I've already exported it. It's good to go. So over here in Unity, if I grab the folder where I have that rock saved, and I can just drag it straight into Unity. So first, I'm going to create a folder for it. I like to keep a nice organized structure inside of Unity. Normally I have a 3D folder, and then inside of that, all my individual elements. So it's very, very good to just keep a very organized structure if you can. So grab that rock FBX, and I'm just going to drag it straight into that rock folder. Now if we look under the rock folder, we see that it imported two things, rock, and then it automatically imported the material that was applied to that rock from Maya. Now obviously from Maya or Max to Unity, the materials are going to be a bit different because the shader systems between all three programs vary. So you can either have Max or Maya import the material along with your FBX, or you can tell it, nah, I'm not going to worry about it. I'll just make my own. So I personally prefer to have the mesh not import with materials. So just when you click on the mesh, over here in the inspector, you can see under materials, it says import materials. Just uncheck the box and apply. And then just the default material will be added to that mesh inside of the viewing window. So I'm going to take my rock and drag it into my Unity scene. And as you see, it's pretty small. So since it was supposed to be a really big looking boulder, it seems a little small. So if I want to make this bigger on my import, if I go to the mesh and go to scale factor, let's make that 5 times bigger, and it'll increase the size. So if you're working on a team project, it's important that everybody's working at the same scale. So if you have the same scale for everything inside of Max or Maya, and they're importing kind of small into Unity or really big into Unity, then you know if you need to up the scale factor or make it smaller, but just make sure that everybody is working at that exact same scale factor size for consistency between the programs. So I'm happy with that rock size. It's pretty big. Now in Unity, it's generally accepted that the scale of everything, this box cube, is a meter by a meter. So that may give you a good idea of how big you want to make things inside of your environment. So a character is normally, I think, about 1.8 meters tall. I think that's pretty close to 6 feet. So that's approximately the size of a character that would be inside my game world. So this is a pretty big boulder. I'm cool with that. So that's kind of how you add it into your scene, get it scaled properly, and as far as the viewing window, For your scene world, it operates very much the same as Max or Maya. You can grab your object, you can rotate them, you can scale them, move them around, whatever you want to do. So I'm cool with how big my rock is here in the scene. Now I want to add in some textures that I already have. So I'm going to create a new folder and call it textures. You don't have to do this. Again, I like to keep all my files organized. So I'm just going to do that. And I have 3 targas. So some people prefer to use JPEGs or PNGs. I personally prefer targas. I know that they're a little bit larger in size, but they keep your data information pretty high resolution. So I mean, I'm cool with that. That makes me happy. So I have a diffuse map. Actually, in this instance, it would be an Albeo. Then I have a normal map, and I have an ambient occlusion map that also has contained within it a metalness map and a roughness or smoothness map inside of it. So if we take a look at the material inside of Unity, I'll just call this one rock. Again, if you want to make one, you can always right click, go to create, and material. So with my rock texture, the standard shader uses an albeo, a metalness, and then inside of the metalness there's also a smoothness, and there is also an occlusion. So the way that this breaks down, we'll pop this open in Photoshop, is this way. So each one of your channels can carry a different texture map. So inside of your red channel is your metalness map. Inside of your, is it blue channel? Inside of your, come on Unity. Inside of your green channel, so your green channel is your ambient occlusion. Blue channel, I believe you can use for a height map if you want to use a height map. No, I guess they're both green channel. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so anyway, metalness, then green is for ambient occlusion, and then create an alpha channel, and that is your smoothness map. Now this image is saved as a 32-bit targa. You need to have the 32 bits in order to maintain your alpha channel inside of a targa. So just know if it seems like your smoothness map is not working properly, everything's really shiny, just check to make sure that you have a 32-bit targa and make sure it's saving with that alpha channel. So we're going to go ahead and drop our diffuse, or I'm just going to rename that albeo because it really is an albeo. So the difference between an albeo is albeo doesn't have any type of shadowing applied to it through like your ambient occlusion, but a diffuse normally has the ambient occlusion already multiplied over top of it. So I'm going to add that, and then I'm going to just add in the normal map, and Unity is going to say, hey, this texture is not marked as a normal map, do you want to fix it? Yeah, we'll fix it. So I'm letting Unity go ahead and figure that out, and then I'm just going to apply that. So that looks pretty good. Yeah, no problems there. It's a good looking rock. So if you ever have issues importing your normal map and it looks kind of funny, like this. So you see how my edges are not nearly as crisp, like in areas like this. It's because you need to invert your green channel. So different programs work with a inverted normal map. So Maya actually works with it, and so does Unity. However, 3ds Max and engines like Unreal work with a standard normal map. So if you're ever getting some funky looking inverse type of normals, just double check to see if that's the problem, that your normals are actually importing upside down. Sometimes you can really tell by getting some really sharp sharp edges, and things just look a bit off. So again, let's invert to normal. We can see, things are kind of looking funky through these edge areas. Here, looks just off, especially if you look right here. You see how it looks like it's doming in a little bit here on top, and that's why there's this kind of funny edge that's being highlighted. Yeah, so that, especially right here, that's what can happen with an inverted normal map. So just if you're getting some of that weird shading, just go into Photoshop, invert your green channel, just Control I, and save it, and bring it back into Unity, and that should take care of everything for you. Make it a bit cleaner. So yeah. So I'm going to add my Albeo in, ambient occlusion. You can control your ambient occlusion if you want it to have more shadows or less. And then I'll also drop that into my metalness smoothness slot. So as you can see, getting some nice details I can pull out of there with my smoothness that I can adjust into. So it's a nice looking rock, so that's all good. So if you're working in a big team and you're a modeler and you're making new assets and you want to shoot it over to your level designer, but you don't want to have the level designer send you all the project files and then you dump the new files into it, you can actually just right click on your rock folder and go to export package. And then what Unity will do is it will grab all the files in that folder, and then it will make a package out of it, and then you can just export it. So I'm going to throw that out there and call it rock. Oh, it's going to throw in my rock folder, rock package. Then it will compress, and then here inside of my rock folder, I now have a Unity rock package where I can just send that over to my level designer instead of trying to hand files back and forth. I can just send those right over. Now, when my level designer gets these pieces, all he's going to get is what is in this folder. So he's going to have to put the materials on the objects themselves, and that's just another process that they have to go through. But if you make prefabs, and again, I like to make folders to organize everything. So if you make a prefab of this rock, so I have my rock in the scene, already has all the textures applied to it. It's looking good. Maybe I want to add some sort of collision to it. I'm just going to add a box collider to it. So it's got all these components added to it. And I want it to come in to the level designer's project all set up like this. I can just take my rock, drag it into prefabs, and now if we look over here in the inspector, my rock object has its textures applied to it, as well as it has the box collider attached to it. So now if I want to export that prefab, now if you notice, all I did this time was select the rock prefab, and Unity by default looked for all the files that rock prefab is referencing to make that export file. So I can now export my rock prefab, and gonna look back for where my old one was, and I can replace that rock package. And now when I send that package over to my level designer, they can just import that and the rock is ready to go. It's got colliders added to it. It's got all the textures associated with it. No problem. It's ready to go. So I hope that this tutorial was helpful, just helping you get your models into Unity, working really fast, looking really tight, nice and pretty. So if you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment. If you would, like the video. Thanks.